Hey guys, Jay here. Welcome to Models and Memories Weekly, episode 17. Models and Memories is a show about nothing and it is filmed in front of a live studio audience. This is a show where I talk about my painting, modeling, and wargaming experiences from the week, and I end every episode with a story. Now you might think to yourself, Jay, you live stream every single night and you put out 3 YouTube videos a week. How? Could you have more to say? Well, I do, and here goes. This week I did an unbelievable amount of painting, but it was all for the channel. And so, I'm not showing it off here, you're gonna have to wait to see that, but you're not gonna wanna miss it. But I did do a fair bit of wargaming this week. And I bought something. So it is no secret that my favorite game in all of the world is XWing, and I finally saw that it's time to get into XWing 2nd Edition. And I saw there was a huge sale for the Scum and Villainy conversion kits. And I spent the week watching every video I could find on XWing 2nd Edition. And you know what? Salt exists across all genres of gaming, and those salty videos convinced me I needed 2 Scum and Villainy boxes. It was also a really good deal. And so I bought 2, and I've gone through one of these. And honestly, these are pretty good. They really do come with everything you need to convert your old army into the new edition. The reason to have 2 is to get duplicates of some of the upgrade cards, because arguably they don't give you enough of some. Although I don't really know, like there's only 2 Predator cards in this pack. If you're an X-Wing player, you know what I'm talking about. But maybe you only need 2, because I don't know how the pricing of things works out inside of that app. But 1 probably would have gotten the job done. And another thing that the salty YouTubers told me was that they don't give you enough pilot cards, but they really do. Because even though I have 5 binary pirates, I couldn't possibly take that many in a game because the games are capped at a certain points value. So unless we're talking about bringing all of your ships in apocalyptic X-Wing, which never really works out, I've played it a few times and it just becomes a complete disaster of, okay, wait, does one of my 5 pilot 9s go before your pilot skill 9s, or are we waiting for the pilot skill 7 to go? X-Wing does not scale gracefully, but that's fine because it's a wonderful game at its points value. So I have 2 of these now, and you know what? That's probably fine because I have a ton of Scum ships. And you know what? It might still help out anyway, because if I'm trying to help some friends play, we can both play the same named pilot. You're not supposed to do that, but it's fine in a friendly game. And so that's why 2 of these boxes are gonna be fun. They got a good heft. There's a lot of cardboard in here. But 2nd Edition X-Wing actually does look like tons of fun. I was very skeptical at a bunch of changes because all change is scary and bad. But listening to the game designers really talk about their ideas and their reasoning, a lot of it made a lot of sense. The big thing, and what I'm really interested in, is the change from having all of the points values printed on the cards for your list building. All of that has moved to an app. And that's controversial, and I completely understand why. I didn't love the sound of that. Because I'm like, well, what happens if I don't have my phone on me, or I don't have a computer, and I'm gonna play X-Wing? You can't really do it. But what they sold me on it by saying that they will no longer ever be FAQs. There will no longer ever be real rules changes that are like published that you need to Sharpie to change your cards. Everything will be pretty well balanced because they can periodically make sweeping changes automatically. I'm getting into X-Wing 2nd Edition like 2 years late, and it does not matter. There's no FAQs, there's no erratas, there's no PDFs. The app is exactly right. And that's pretty cool. So I'm sold on that change, and I would like to see that in other games, 40K. I think it would actually make a really, really good change. I think they probably could have still put the points values on the cards. Because, you know, what if you are like camping or something, you know, or the Wi-Fi gets turned off because you don't have any money? Then those would be times where it would be fun to be able to list build with X-Wing, but you can also just have everything in the app and it'll remember for you. So, you know, you have 10 lists in your app already, you just play with that. It'll tell you exactly which cards you need. So, I'm pumped for X-Wing 2nd Edition. I think it's gonna be really fun. And I think apps are neat. But besides X-Wing, Games Workshop came out with, I think, 500 new miniatures this week, and they were all pretty snazzy. The one thing I'm really pumped about, though, is the new Kill Team. Kill Team 2nd Edition, or 3rd Edition, depending on who you talk to and which versions of X-Wing or of a Kill Team you consider Kill Team. But I am pumped. Number 1, Plastic Death Corp of Krieg. Who saw that coming? It's super exciting. It's really interesting, and one thing that really knocks my socks off with Kill Team 2.0 is both teams, the Orcs and the Death Corp of Krieg, seem to be somewhat tailored for Kill Team, which has never happened before. Kill Team is a game that's built off of the bones of 40K. There's nothing unique to Kill Team, except maybe Rogue Trader, that one box that they sold for 3 months. But the Orcs and the Krieg all seem to have options for like Medic Specialist, Zealot Specialist, these different things that are Kill Team specific and not in regular 40K. And so I think that that is really cool. I would love to see every faction get a Kill Team specific box that gives them a lot of options in terms of what to pick. Because Kill Team is kind of in an awkward spot where it's a really, really good game if you play 40K and you have lots of models, because most of those models can be taken in Kill Team. But if you don't play these games and you want to get into Kill Team, it can be a little awkward because, you know, I want some Orc boys, but then I also want some Orc commandos, and then I also want a Knob, and I want some Gretchen. All of a sudden, you've bought the better part of an Orc army just to take a couple of models from each box into your Kill Team. It doesn't quite work, so I'm really excited to see what they do with Kill Team 2nd Edition. And Games Workshop, if you're listening, I have some suggestions. Number 1, fix or ditch the scouting phase. The scouting phase is annoying. It takes a frustrating amount of time right at the beginning of the game before you've started having fun. So you have to wait on having fun because you have to do the scouting phase. And it's annoying. You have to pick options off of a long list. You have to like hide a dice roll from your opponents, and then you just reveal, and all you know is most of the time, nothing whatsoever happens. Sometimes one player gets a big advantage, which is also not much fun. The scouting phase sucks. I wouldn't mind it if it disappeared, or maybe they could figure out something where it's quick, it's easy, like maybe some sort of like a bet, like when you reveal what faction, you bet on something, like, or maybe whoever has the lowest points, that person gets an extra command point for that game. Little tiny thing, but it could be helpful to have 3 command points turn 1. Something that simple would be great. The second thing I really want to see from Kill Team 2 is more movement. The movement phase is the most important phase in Kill Team, and it really makes or breaks every single game. Moving is incredibly important, and you don't get to do much of it in Kill Team. A couple of factions have stratagems or have special abilities where they can do a little bit of moving outside of the movement phase, but for the most part, almost all models get to move about 6 inches a turn, which means that they can barely get to where you want them to be. Movement is so important, and I would love to see a lot more movement in the game. Maybe you can give up your shooting and move, maybe you can give up your combat and move, maybe you can give your movement to other models so that they can get extra distance. I would love to see a lot more movement. The way it works now, with Kill Team just being baby 40K, you get to move a little, and then you get to shoot a little, and then you get to maybe fight. I would love to see movement happen in every phase, and then a little bit of shooting and fighting sprinkled in. That's what I want to see. And the last thing, and this is probably the biggest one for me, fix the morale phase. The morale phase is incredibly frustrating. It's broken into 2 really annoying components where you have to do 2 different rolls to see if your kill team is broken, and if your kill team isn't broken, you have to still see if people are shaken. And the way you find out if you're shaken is you take a thing called a nerve test. Also, why is the thing to see if you're shaken not called a shaken test? It's called a nerve test, even though there's no way your models can be nerved. They can only be shaken. It's bananas. And these 2 different dice rolls all do pretty much the same thing, but they have different stipulations. Sometimes shaken models matter for the roll, sometimes they don't matter, sometimes out of action models matter for the roll, sometimes they don't. And I think, even as frustrating as all that is, the most annoying thing about the morale phase is most armies get to ignore it. 40K is a game where you're mostly fighting super zealous, crazy aliens who all have perfect morale, would never fall away from combat, would never even be scared, and that is represented by, in-game, most armies getting to ignore the morale phase most of the time, which is dumb. It should matter for every army, and for some armies that are considered more cowardly or scare more easily, they are incredibly punished by the morale phase. And I understand that part of that is for the balancing act, but if most armies can just ignore it, it's not much of a balance. Another big problem with the morale phase is that broken test, because the rules tell you exactly what to do when your kill team is broken, because when your kill team is broken, your models perform differently. But most of the missions say that when you become broken, you lose. Garbage. That is the silliest thing in the world. Why would they give you rules if the fact that you're broken just negates almost all of those rules by having you instantly lose the game? Not every mission does that, but enough of them do it to where it's really, really frustrating, because it's almost impossible to make a Space Marine kill team break, but it's very easy to make an Orc kill team break. It's just not really fair. And it's a very feel bad way to lose the game, because your opponent doesn't roll to see if you're broken, you roll to see if you're broken. And that dice roll decides if you just lost right now. So one dice roll that I have to do, and if it's a bad dice roll, the game is over and I've lost. Feel bad, not a good system. The whole morale phase needs a total overhaul. Those are the 3 big things I would love to see change in Kill Team, but I am actually really excited. I think Kill Team is a really, really fun game, but it's not a perfect game. I think there's plenty of room for improvement, and if they can make those improvements, I think it'll really, really be a fun game. And I've talked about it in the past, where the things I would like to see for Kill Team is Kill Team specific models. I would love it if Games Workshop could use Kill Team as an excuse to release 40k things that don't really fit, like Death Corp of Krieg. There's not a huge incentive to put Death Corp of Krieg into regular Imperial Guard. I know Guard people always want the Krieg, but they're not gonna get it. They're not gonna get most of their factions, it's fine. But it'd be great if Kill Team can give you those weird little things that big 40k can't, like maybe a bunch of servitors, or like weird Gene Stealer abominations, like things that wouldn't slot perfectly into 40k because they're a little too niche, but would actually be really, really cool in Kill Team. I always want an excuse for more stuff, and I feel like Kill Team could be a great excuse for more stuff. On top of Kill Team, I think the second most exciting thing that Games Workshop released this week is new plastic Defcoptas. I cannot believe it. We have not seen Defcoptas since Assault on Blackreach, and the new Defcoptas are almost identical to the ones on Assault on Blackreach. They're just a little bit better because they're better at sculpting models now. But the one thing I absolutely love about these models, really 2 things I absolutely love about these models. They look great, but one of my biggest pet peeves is the Games Workshop flying stands. All of them, every single one of them stinks. They are the worst. They're super, super fragile acrylic stands. They always have bubbles in them, which kind of ruins the effect. They're super glossy, so they look terrible in photos. And you either have a small vehicle on a giant 60mm flying stand, or you have a still decently sized flying unit on the tiny little 32, and they always want to fall over and break. Always. Every model I have on a flying stand has broken. And so these models, Games Workshop has figured out ways to fake the flying. One of them is flying above a tree, and the tree is connecting it to the base. A couple of them have pipes, and that is wonderful. Also, I really like that they are on the cavalry bases, the oval bases. Those are fun bases. They help give bigger models a little bit more stability. I think that these are an engineering feat. I really, really like them. I would be so happy if we're done with the clear flying stands. I don't know if there's a way to fix it. Maybe if it was just a fairly thick acrylic rod that just slotted into the base and slotted into the top of the model. The way they do it now is there's a very, very delicate breakable peg, and that peg loves to snap off of flying stand bases. Maybe if it was just a rod, it would be a little bit better, but ugh. I know they've started doing this thing where they have more of a swoopy shaped design. You can see it on Space Marine Inceptors. That one might be the worst one they've ever made. It's pretty bad. The way they've designed it so that it's usable for so many different armies is it's a swoop, and then it's just got like a plate, and you're meant to super glue your model to that plate. Horrible, absolutely horrible. The fragile peg was better because at least there was a fair bit of plastic on plastic connection. Now you've got a little bit of plate and a little bit of model and just the barest drop of super glue. And that's the whole thing holding your model on. You could take a model and just go, tink, and it's, I don't like the Games Workshop flying stands. I think that's the worst thing Games Workshop has ever done, is the flying stands. But that is it for news. I am super pumped for X-Wing 2nd Edition, and I'm excited to bring a little bit more content that's not 40K to the channel. Speaking of the channel, if you like what you do and you like the videos we make, the best way to support us is by becoming a member of our Patreon. Over there, you'll gain access to some behind the scenes, voting on what models I paint live here on YouTube, a live hobby hangout every week, and more. With that said, let's get to the story portion of this video. This show is called Models and Memories, and that's because memories have a way of wrapping themselves around the models and the things that we create. And as you can see behind me, there's tons of objects, and every single one of them has a story behind it. And the story I want to tell this week is this. This is a game that I hope a lot of you are familiar with. This is a game called Barking Kittens, which is an expansion for the game Exploding Kittens. Now, this game is phenomenal. I have a lot of experience with games like this. I guess this would be considered like a party game. It's a little bit more of a casual game compared to things like X-Wing or 40K. But this game is a lot of fun. I have a little bit of history with games like this because before I got sucked into the deep, dark dungeon of tabletop wargaming, me and my friends would play a lot of games like this. We would play Monopoly, we would play a game called Boss Monsters, we would play Risk, which Risk, holy cow, that is the beginning of all wargaming. Super fun. We would play for days, and I actually remember that sometimes we would get so bored of it that we would actually let the cat walk across the board, and whatever it knocked down, that was out of the game, and then you take it from there. But this trumps all of it. This is the premier party game. It is so much fun. This is the real game, Exploding Kittens. And the great thing about this game is, this I think is the perfect game to play with your filthy casual friends, your normies. The people who are not gonna wanna deal with X-Wing, they're not gonna wanna make a command roster for Kill Team, they don't even know what Age of Sigmar is. This is the game to play with them. Now, this game has a little bit of competition from another game called Cards Against Humanity. Now, let me explain why this game is awesome and Cards Against Humanity sucks. Cards Against Humanity can be very fun, and I've played it a lot with friends, but that's the only time it works is with friends. If you're playing with people you don't know very well, it is a slog because you don't know what makes them laugh. You don't know what is funny. You don't know what's gonna be interesting. There's nothing funny about just Mad Libs cards, like Grandma fell down the jorts. Nothing funny about that. It's not funny, but it's really, really funny if you know something about your friend, you got that little inside joke, you've got your set of cards in front of you and you're like, oh, this is gonna kill Kyle. That is when it becomes really fun. If you're playing it with randos, people you don't know, it just becomes awkward. I don't like Cards Against Humanity most of the time. Exploding Kittens, on the other hand, this game is incredible. It actually has some really, really fun game mechanics. So basically the thing of it is you have a deck of cards, and some of those cards are exploding kittens, and everybody has to take turns drawing cards. And if you draw an exploding kitten, you die, and you're out of the game. Last person standing wins the game. But all of these cards you draw have effects. Like you can use them to screw over your opponents, you can use them to draw more cards, you can use them to peek at the deck and see what's going on. And the reason that this is so much better than Cards Against Humanity, particularly for playing against randos, is that it kind of forces player interaction, but you don't have to know anything about each other. And so a lot of these card effects can be played out of sequence. So if you're just feeling like the person in front of you, you don't like the look of them, you can screw them over and make them draw more cards. Or if they have an effect that's gonna block them from something bad happening, you can play another card that just screws them over. It's so much fun. If you have a big thing of games that you play with friends, throw them all away and buy this game. What I have here, Barking Kittens, this is an expansion that gives you more cards with more card effects. It also gives you this hat that I'm not quite sure about because it seems like you don't need it for the game. There we go. You see the hat? This hat, I don't quite get the hat. You're supposed to hide cards underneath the hat. It works much better if you just hide the cards face down next to you, but it's kind of fun. But this game, I have so many fun. I have memories of every time I play this game with people. Okay, the hat's gotta come off. I have memories of every time I play this with people because games get heated. I've played this with my family, I've played this with my friends, I played this with my nerd friends. Honestly, games like this can oftentimes be more fun than real games like X-Wing or 40K. Like, in the right circumstances, you know, maybe you get some popcorn, some chips, a little Mountain Dew. This is the premier game. Everyone, go to Walmart, go to Target, pick up this game, please. It is so much fun. Also, this game is clean. There's nothing offensive in this game, except for maybe if grandma doesn't like the sound of kittens dying, maybe it's not for grandma, but this is a really, really fun game. I think it beats out all of those other things. I'm not huge for card games. I've played a little bit of Yu-Gi-Oh! I never got into Magic the Gathering, thank God. But this isn't really a card game like those games. This game is really crazy fun. If you have Cards Against Humanity and all of the expansions, just toss them. Get rid of those. The only thing, one of the things that can make Cards Against Humanity really fun is if you make up your own cards. But at that point, you just made up your own game. I mean, Cards Against Humanity. Exploding Kittens is the actual fun game. This game is wonderful. I have had many, many wonderful hours playing this game, and I proudly display it on this YouTube set. Go out and get yourself Exploding Kittens. But the fact that I love Exploding Kittens so much and that I have so many fond memories of playing this with everyone in my life is my story for this week, and it brings this episode of Models and Memories to a close. I hope you guys enjoyed it, but now it's time for the real star of this show. That's right, the EOB Complete submissions. We put out a challenge to our community to send us before and after photos of their recently finished models to be immortalized in our videos. If you want to join in the fun, you can submit a before and after photo of your painted mini to our Discord server, which you can find in the description below, or you can post it to Instagram with the hashtag EOB Complete. Without further ado, let's look at and get inspired by what the folks have finished this week. A Bird Warrior by Disco, a Stormcast Eternal by Shaky Dog, a WizKids Red Dragon by Rocket 2067, a Blood Angel Sanguinary Guard by Corbin the Blood Angel, a Deathwatch Veteran by Montekia OG, a Star Wars Legion E-Web Team by Tim Pie, a Chaos Rhino by Squirrel Boy, a Squad of Sororitas Cavalry by Green Goblin Studios, a Scorpec Destroyer Lord by John Hecoy, a Leviathan Dreadnought by Maul, a Necromancer by Joe Cole Jr. 1313, a Space Marine Eradicator by Alexandros P, an Adeptus Titanicus Warlord Titan by Caldor Drago, a Space Marine Plasma Gunner by Sleepy Panzer, a Necron Locust Destroyer by OK Tabletop, an Orc Mech Gun by Unity, an Orc Scrapjet by Decimation, an Adeptus Custodes by Comrade RC, some Soldiers by Feeble Blobber, some Space Marine Eradicators by Daryl Lennon, some Dark Elder Furies by Michael Knight, a Space Marine Captain in Gravis Armor by Pyrite, a Plague Drone by Love the M, a Primaris Outrider by Linku11, a Big Space Marine by Bilbro Swaggins, and a Space Wolf by Pirate Mage T. Jalf. Congratulations to everyone for a job well done. It's no small feat to get paint on minis, and you all should feel really proud. Nothing gets the hobby juices flowing like finishing a project when we all thank you for sharing your work, motivating us and the hobby community to paint our plastic. Thanks for sharing.